What's going on, everyone? This is AJ from Adventure Co Gaming. This is BattleWorn number 9, Ryan? Is it number 9?
Oh yeah, we're up to 9.
We're not one away from
Almost
double
double
digits.
digits.
One away from double digits. And we added another digit to our group here. We added Jamie. Jamie, what's going on? Introduce yourself, man. What are you up to? Who are you? What do you do?
I'd
You're muted.
unmute yourself first.
We love that.
Yeah,
Not to
I'll
cough
edit that
into the
out.
mic.
I'll edit that out. What do you do? What's up, Jamie?
No. We gotta show the
That's okay if it
get
stays
used to
in.
the ropes.
What
Because
do you
as
got?
always, I drop the ball a little.
Who are you?
But yeah, my name's Jamie, local Central Florida flesh and blood player. No accolades of real esteem, split maybe a finals of an RTN here and there, but never, topped a tier 3 event or anything like that. So, to coin a local phrase, I'm mediocre at best.
Fair enough. Well, that said, I'm still AJ. Ryan's over there. This is Adventure Co Gaming, like we said, and this is BattleWorn number 9. We have a great one for you. We got a whole mess of spoilers over the weekend and into Monday, pretty much the entire set. We're waiting on like 4 different cards as of the time of recording to get spoiled. But other than that, we have the complete set. Going to go over what each of us likes from this set, our 5 favorite cards each. But first, we have some news to go over real quick. We're going to go over, let's just start right off with it. We got Kano winning the Battle Harden. He won the Battle Harden and he won the ProQuest Plus that was attached to the Battle Harden. And I want to start with Jamie. What does that mean to you? Is Kano broken? Should we ban him?
No, I don't think Kano needs to be banned or anything like that. Do I think it's a fun play experience for both parties? Debatable. I think the only thing that we should really take away from this is, especially if once we start getting into spoilers, is start bringing some Spell Void. You're going to need to be ready.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I mean, it has to be Spell Void, right? We've seen that AB is just too slow. If you're pitching into Kano's abilities, it's probably just not enough. Really, you want to bring at least a mix of Spell Void and AB. Ryan, how do you feel about Kano and what he's doing these days?
I think for the most part he's fine. It is, you could say it's for a lot of classes it can be frustrating to have to prepare for Kano himself when most of your deck is not, like, if you're one of those decks that plays like mostly red cards, trying to pitch an AB. But again, that's why Spell Void is a good idea, and we have some cards like Oasis that help mitigate that. But I think there's a place for Wizard in this meta. Kano himself is just kind of crazy how he can just pop things off the top, but if seeing the Wizards perform at our locals at these pro quests is any indicator, it's like there's still quite a bit of heavier penalty for RNG against Kano when it comes to trying to close out games sometimes, that make him seem balanced in that regard.
I do think it's funny that like the counterplay to Kano is just to kill him. Like, I don't know, like there's not like a lot of like intricate, like we even saw like during the Battle Harden that he was sandbagging Oasis Respits and was playing like a pretty much like spell fatigue Bolton into Kano, and it just wasn't enough, right? Like he still wasn't able to get there. Now, granted, he drew like a red in that last hand, to where if he had a blue, the game's probably different. And the Kano messed up his pitch stack, but it didn't matter. Still, I don't think that was finals. Yeah, that was finals. So,
and I mean, to interject real quick on the point that I was making, speaking of certain heroes, like Wizard has hard counters in like Brute and Illusionist, where the matchup against them is either very difficult or even unwinnable sometimes. So
yeah, Brute can be tough just because of how fast they are, right? How much damage they really put out. Intimidate's like fine, but
I was gonna say it's the Intimidate that always gets them. Back in the day when Alex was first playing and Blitz was a new format, playing the barraging beatdowns and forcing him to make an early decision on his hand was always, always very difficult, or incredibly punishing for the Wizard, depending on what they chose.
Ryan would bring up 2021 Blitz format, just like, as if that's...
It's like, meanwhile, KO plays what? 1 Intimidate card?
Yeah,
maybe 2?
if they even play it.
Yeah. And we saw the KO just say, you know what, I'm going to try to kill the wizard. I'm just going to murder him. And then he just melted on the spot. He died, what, turn 2?
Something
Turn
like
1?
that. Yeah.
There are still avid.
You still just die sometimes.
There's still avid Rhinar players, so they still have to worry about the intimidates.
Yeah, all three of them. They're out there.
They're out there. Hey, Pablo Pintor was giving them hope.
Ryan's not even a Rhinar player anymore. He was like the banner holder for Rhinar, and he's abandoning him for Enigma. We'll get there, but you know, what happened?
I mean, technically, recently it's been Max, and it's just gotta stretch my wings and try other things every now and then.
Max is super interesting. I like Max a lot. But moving on, Kano, good job to those players that won the Battle Harden and the ProQuest Plus. Or I keep saying Battle Harden, the Calling and the Battle Harden. He won the Calling, which is a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Calling and Battle Harden, so good for him. Good for them. And Kano, and the only issue I have with Kano, and we had a whole podcast about it, was I just don't like the Kano turn where it's like 15 minutes of like, do you have it? Like, can you figure it out?
It can be a little frustrating being patient with, especially like newer Kano players too, like seeing them try to put all the pieces together when they're not as experienced as the people who can just kind of like play it off the top or figure things out hopefully quickly.
Yep. And
but
going on from that,
start somewhere.
yeah, going from that, we have so Kano will be the last person to win any kind of event that grants Living Legend points under the old Living Legends point distribution system, because that got updated earlier today. And I love this change. Basically, a quick rundown is that the points at the top have been lowered all down to like the tier 4 events are 100 points now and going down from there. And then the points at the very bottom, the like ProQuest and RTNs, have all been normalized to 5 points each, so actually a little bit of an increase. And the overall summary was that they did change it to like the overall amount of points is lowered for the year, but I think we're gonna see that like heroes won't just like suddenly vanish from play, right? If they win worlds, they can go from 700, which is almost a third of your point total like left, and then they just blink out of existence. So I think it's a great change.
That's a good idea. I think that's a great change. I would still agree. I would still vie for something like the what did we call it a couple episodes ago? The new season where
Rookie
like for the
season.
first year, rookie season. There you go. I knew it was a baseball term. But yeah, the rookie season thing where it's like maybe they earn less points or half the points for certain events during the first year. I feel like even though we're getting regular releases now, it'd be nice for heroes to stick around if they do, even if they do prove to be strong for a little while. As long as
Jamie, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a great decision, honestly, especially right before Nationals season. KO, for example, was speed running to Living Legend. I mean, Starvo rate almost of trying to get there. And we just made an onboarding product for this hero. So if we had lost it, by the end of June, that would have been a terrible look, I think, on the game. And honestly, would have hurt a lot of LGSs that picked up that product as well. So I think this is a smart change overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you could say that might even be an indicator that LSS wasn't expecting KO to be so successful that he even ran the risk of running to Living Legend so quickly when they made the Armory deck.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him Savage Sash, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. I'll be honest. I don't know where that came from. But I've seen some pretty nutty things with Savage Sash already, and I just think it gets very silly very quickly. There's some Living Legends decks that I saw running around that were running Berserk is the one that got banned. And it's just really flippin' stupid. I get why it got banned.
I was going to say, it wouldn't even be as bad if they didn't also just give them a bunch of ways to create agility tokens now. And it's like, cool, now they give their first attack Go Again, even if it's not Wild Ride or Pulping specifically. You could start off with like Pack Hunt with Go Again for one less cost, then go into Wild Ride, then go into like Swing Big very easily, really.
And yeah, so with that, that's gonna wrap it up for news. I want to jump right into the fun stuff, and that is the cards we like from Parthimus Vale. I had to remember the name. It's like I had heavy hitters on my
That's
brain talking about KO, but yeah, part the Mistveil. And
that's like sacrilege for you, AJ. This is your set, man.
no, I love it so much, but I just had heavy hitters on the brain talking about KO.
That is true. That is true.
All right, so I'm gonna start with Ryan. Ryan, what is your first card that you'd like to talk about? I believe these are in no particular order, unless you want to order them. I don't know.
No, I guess I'd have to start off with the one. So, funny enough, I wanted to add this in. We actually, during our last podcast, we first started getting like a huge spoiler dump from the Blitz decks right
Yeah.
as we were in the middle of the podcast recording.
It's right at the end.
And well, we had to end it because we were energized to talk about it, but then we were like, oh, there's no way we could fit this into a single
It
episode.
was
So
like midnight too.
we
Like, all
would
right.
have to catch up later, yeah. Oh my god, the extra time we had to cut out at the end because of what we started, and there was only like the assassin cards that we even got through. Like it would have been insane. But I could definitely say, based on the current character I'm playing, my favorite spoiler from this past week is Supercell, which is a new card that you could at least I've been saying is a max buff. Since it deals mostly with hyperdrivers, even though it's not a specialization. But it goes as follows. Put X Steam counters, and the cost of the card is just 1X. Put X Steam counters on X target hyperdrivers you control. Create a hyperdriver token with X Steam counters, and then if X is 3 or greater, you may shuffle a Construct Nitro Mechanoid back into your deck from your Banish Zone. So there is a lot going on in this one little card, but I love
lot of
everything
X.
about it. Well, it's also like 3 different parts that it resolves on the chain itself, or not on the chain, in the card effect itself. So first you add more steam counters to your current hyperdrivers, create one that has that many or X amount of steam tokens, and then if you have 3 or greater and you've already accidentally banished through boost one of your Nitro Mechanoids, you get to shuffle it back, which is very rare. That there are shuffle effects for non-attack actions in mech, and even attack actions of that from the Banish Zone. So that's kind of like insane, and it really gives you like a, I guess you could say like more of a save or a bit more forgiveness if you're trying to go for the construct plan. And this is the thing I like about Supercell too, is that this is one of the few things that doesn't require you to boost before you can activate its effect.
That's a good point.
Whereas
I
for
didn't
even
think about that. Yeah.
you could just have a blue card and this in hand, and then activate it to just buff 3 of your hyperdrivers and create a 4th one right
Yeah,
away.
granted, you would need to have 3 on the field already, right? Because you have to target X hyperdrivers. So kind of like
You
Lord
do.
of Wind, right? So however many hyperdrivers you have to have those already. I will say this
Exactly.
card is kind of, you want to see this like in the mid game, and you want to see it against like a not aggressive hero, right? Like you don't really want to be like setting up a turn with this. You want to be like, it doesn't have go again, which is important to know. You can get extra action points, we know, in mech. You can like cheat stuff, but
Well, for Max at least, he can crank the hyperdriver that he makes.
oh, that's true. Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting.
That's why I say it's more of a Max specific buff, even though you can use it in other heroes if you like, but it definitely more suits Max in a more fluid style.
Anything on
Um,
Supercell, Jamie?
I'm just curious how relevant the shuffle in a mechanoid effect is going to be, or if that's actually going to be a problem. Because if you're digging through your deck for a mechanoid and you boost one away, and you're digging for your 2nd or your 3rd one, if you shuffle, I mean, yeah, you're putting one back, but there's also potential that you just put them all on the bottom.
Yeah,
So,
also like another big,
Curious.
that's a good point because another big end game is pitch stacking your hyperdriver, your high octane
High
with
octane.
with your construct, and so you can go like, or you go like high octane, zero cost, and then into like 5 or 6 swings with the mechanoid to just like have this big end game, like murder them turn, and this shuffling it back. I guess if you want to play like less than 3 mechanoids, that could be one reason to play it, because and it gives you like an insurance policy, right? As opposed to
Yeah.
like having to run 3 bricks, because until you want to mechanoid's terrible. So
Yeah, the best you could say is it's a cracked bauble that blocks for 3, essentially. And you can boost, but it's pretty annoying to see when you're not ready for it.
But that was a good point with
Um,
the shuffle, Jamie.
yeah. But overall, I love this card, especially if you just do especially so if you already had one thing I thought was kind of funny and kind of like a satisfying kind of math sense. If you boost you can even do a zero boost like 0 to 60 and play this card right after, you'll have as many resources from your hyperdrivers as you did when as you can to pay for X. Um, Essentially, what I'm saying is if you have like 3 hyperdrivers and you boost, you'll get 3 resources to pay for this card's exact cost to buff those and then create your 4th hyperdriver. So
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
kind of funny synergy.
All right,
But
Jamie.
overall, fantastic card, and I love that it's like it's not even like a crazy max buff, but it's like a really nice quality of life one, you could say.
Absolutely. All
And
right,
I'm
Jamie.
excited to
We're
play
gonna
it.
go on to your card, your next card.
So for me personally, I had to limit myself on the expansion slot for the set. I think there's a lot of really good cards in there. Shout out to Vincent and Levia. Shadow Heroes are definitely going to be coming back at least in some
Yeah,
capacity.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Whether
Those cards
Vincent's
are insane.
actually, competitive, that's a whole other story. But Levia definitely is still something to be feared when you sit across the table. Yeah, they can kill themselves to blood debt, but I feel like that's becoming less and less of a problem for them nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. You're probably dead before blood debt even matters, and even if they get to that point,
That's
they're gonna flip into uh,
consumed or
consumed or
consumed
redeemed.
at
Yeah,
least.
so
Yeah, they don't even need to get all 3 modes on the card for it to be good. It's just a consistent piece. But for me, I guess my expansion slot choice would be visit the Goldmane estate. I'm a big Guardian player, so seeing this, he immediately caught my attention. Blue non-attack action that blocks for 3. We're already looking at it.
I feel like I had to like convince you of this card though a little bit when it came out. You weren't
Yes,
a
because
believer.
no, I'm still kind of suspect. I mean, I just haven't tested the card to be transparent. I'm sure once I play 1 game or 2, I'm going to immediately call myself an idiot for doubting it. But this is like I mentioned, it's a non-attack blue, costs 1. It is a victor specialization, so get this Bravo crap out of here. That guy has no hero ability. But Goldmane Estate says create a gold token. Then if you control 3 or more gold, create that many might tokens. It also has go again. So it doesn't seem like much, but in combination with Victor's hero ability, that just says draw a card. And if you have 3 gold, go to town, you make 3 mites, and you're only limited by the amount of gold you have. So the more money you get from your test of strengths, your trounces, yeah, you're just going to be off to the races the more times you can cast this. And especially for 1 cost, it's very easy to do it with things off of like Tunic or just play this into CNC. It's a solid turn.
I was gonna say I think the create a gold token, then if you control 3 or more gold. Yeah. So your shield counts as one of these gold, by the way.
It
Because it
does.
just says gold. So that's pretty insane too.
So that gives you 1 right off the bat. If you're going to be, a real madman, you can run the Royal Crown, the Crown of Dominion, and then you have 2 right out the gate. Then you just have to win 1 test of strength, which is pretty easy to do, I would say, in most matchups, unless you're playing against KO, but
Or another story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even most Guardians, I think, unless it's like the Victor Mirror, like, you can probably get there a lot of times, I feel like. Because Bravo has a lot more non-attacks, D-reacts, things just that aren't going to win him a clash.
That's true. So yeah, I definitely like this card too. I like that both Victor and Olympia are both getting some nice quality of life gold use buffs. But I will say, just because I am personally tired of Guardian having so much go again, I think this should have been a 0 cost, no go again card to just kind of give him a little bit of ramp. You'd get to draw a card for Arsenal, it's fine. But I think go again is too good for Guardian.
This card would be really bad without go again, I think, in my opinion. Like, it would be okay, I guess, but like I really do think that Victor has like cemented himself as a more aggressive Guardian, which is fine. And all the go again that Guardian currently has is like not Guardian cards typically, right? Like they're all generics. Like Zealous Belting and even Rouse the Ancients can be seen as a Guardian card, but it's not, right? Like it's a generic. And
Yeah,
so
Even the E-Strike, it's generic.
yeah.
All the go
yeah,
again on the deck is generic. Out muscle.
yeah. No, I know that, but the way Zealous Belting and Browse the Ancients work, for example, it's like they definitely were designed with like Guardian type decks in mind
It's kind
because
of
of how
funny.
how
You
they
could play
work.
all those cards in Prism pretty effectively, actually.
Oh, absolutely.
You can
Oh,
even play
yeah.
with KO.
Yeah, you could play like everything in KO.
hmm
Could even buy a boat.
But I don't know. If we look at the other auras in Guardian that don't have go again, they just don't see play because of that. The lack of go again is really hard. I mean, we have seen the aura Bravo deck that Keel McCreath has been piloting lately that just is trying to bonk people in the head with some giant attacks, but outside of that, they don't really see play for that reason. They're just too slow, and a lot of times the meta has just been far too aggressive, or you're just giving your opponent way too much room to breathe.
Yeah, usually Guardian can take that kind of like retaliating punishment, but at this point, that's like the only niche that Bravo feels like he could fill out if Victor is now the aggro guardian and Betsy is now the defensive guardian. It's like, yeah, if he plays auras, at least he's kind of like filling a niche that he can call his own, that he can do better than other guardians. So,
I think this is just leaning into the value train of Victor, just being able to block efficiently and then throwing efficient attacks back with your weapon. Even being able to just, tunic, play this, draw blue, maybe or maybe not, make some might tokens, throw a 4. That's pretty solid there.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. So the first card I want to talk about, I'm gonna start on the other side of my list, is actually Chase the Tail because I think it's like on the lower end of like what I'm excited about. But like I think this card actually in playing Zen is actually nuts. So Chase the Tail is a majestic ninja attack. Costs 1, blocks for 3, it comes in for 4, but it has combo and says when this attacks, if Crouching Tiger was the last attack this combat chain, this gets go again, and the next Crouching Tiger you play this combat chain gets +3. Uh, this thing is nuts. Like every time that I was able to transcend with Zen, and we'll talk about the chess piece later because spoiler, that's also on my list. Uh, I was able to, you know, transcend with Zen, get the free resource, then pitch the chi into grabbing this card, and this was like almost always like the best card I could grab at the time, and especially like while I'm being aggressive with tigers, and it just was insane. Like the value on this card is like a 1 for 7, go again, go again, go again. Like I just think it's very good. It's very easy to fetch. Like it just goes with your game plan very well.
I mean, Zen just says straight up, grab it out of your deck. Here you
Yeah.
go.
yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, there were so many hoops to jump through, and now you just gotta make a chi, and then you can go grab it. Now
Just
we're
play
good.
2 blue cards,
We're
and you're
Gucci.
off to the races.
I know. Yeah, no, it's not the most like flashy card, but like this definitely just like when you're playing it, it just feels very powerful. And I like the art. They got little tigers running with them. It's having a good time.
Yeah. He's in his element.
Okay.
No, I definitely like that card too, and it's nice. Like I said, this whole set, I just love seeing all the tiger love. I think the aesthetic is really cool.
All right, Ryan, what you got for us? What's your next card?
All right, so the next card I have is Coalescence Mirage. Now, or Restless Coalescence, sorry. The reason why I like this card is specifically because of how it kind of synergizes with a couple other cards that are currently being like play tested in Enigma. One of them being like Phantom Tide Maw. Phantom Tide Maw has been a card that went from being like a 50-cent bulk card to suddenly being like a $30 suspected staple for the deck. So I think it's kind of funny how much that has changed over time with all these spoilers. But with a card like Restless Coalescence, not only is it like an instant aura with Ward 2, which is, kind of nice for a yellow, being able to throw it out there at instant speed as either a blocker for its effects, but with all the +1 counters that you can get off Phantom Tidemaw, for example, if you don't like the idea of attacking with it because of its Phantasm ability, it's like suddenly you have a use for all those +1 counters in this to just remove one from this and create a Spectral Shield each turn.
Can you remind me what Restless Coalescence does? I forget the exact
Oh my
text.
goodness, I apologize. I forgot to start reading off the card. So, when this enters the arena, move any number of +1 counters from your auras you control onto this. And that's a May, so you could choose where you want to move them from onto this and how many. Once per turn instant, remove a +1 counter from this to create a Spectral Shield token, and it has Ward 2. It's a yellow 0-cost Illusionist instant. And yeah, like I said, when it comes to the way the new illusionist weapon works in giving things go again with +1 counters, there's going to be more of an incentive to actually play those out or create +1 counters for them, and then being able to put them all in this one card if some are about to be destroyed, for example, or like I said, if you don't think you'll be able to attack with Phantom Tidemaw when it's got a bunch of +1 counters, you suddenly have somewhere to put them all, and even create like on your turn and your opponent's turn, create a Spectral Shield to keep up the constant pressure going forward. It's a way to build a board state, and I think it's a really interesting way to do that too.
It's an instant, correct?
Yeah, it itself
Correct.
is an instant with Ward 2.
Okay. So, I mean, in theory, then you can, let's say, swing with your Phantom Tidemaw, they trigger Phantasm, and then in response, you just flash that out, steal some of those counters back, and then you're good to keep going on your turn.
Exactly.
I think there's a real deck building cost, though, with it being a yellow.
Yes.
Especially considering how much blue-focused Enigma is.
Yeah, and I guess they had to balance. So this is a regular illusionist instant. It's not like a mystic illusionist card or anything. So technically, it's not got the mystic theme on it. But I agree, it's kind of it's one, I guess you could say, balancing aspect of it to make it a yellow instead of a blue card, just to make it so it's a little less. Like in every hand, it makes it a little less.
I think it'd just be too consistent in the deck if it was.
That's what I mean.
At that point.
And I think
That's the word I'm looking for.
I think really what it is that this card is like an insurance policy more than anything, right? So you either Phantom Tidemaw or let's say you have Ward 5 out with like 5 Spectral Shields, right? And they come in with 5 that you just can't truly block or anything. You're gonna lose like something that has counters on it. Well, you get to, like Jamie said, flash this in, play it at instant speed, snatch up all those counters, put it onto this, and then even still, funny enough, you could like then at instant speed once this resolves, make another Spectral Shield with it. So maybe you get to protect another aura that you wanted to keep around. So I think this card is really good, and I think being yellow was truly a balancing decision. This would just be too much.
Consistency was the word I was looking for. It definitely makes it so that the card has not too much consistency with the Enigma game plan. And I will say to kind of finish off, its effect to save a bunch of +1 counters also makes it easier to play another card that's on my list down the line that I'll talk about a bit later.
And it's got little ghost cats all over it. It's adorable.
Yeah, I'm a dog person, so.
That's starting the set. Dream Matt, send it to me. Swarty, I'm going to hit you up for an artist proof as soon as possible.
There you go.
We need to make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, Jamie, what's the next?
So since we're already on the topic of Enigma, my favorite card out of her kit so far has been Waning Vengeance. This is a common, so it does come in all 3 colors. Waning Vengeance is a 1-cost Mystic Illusionist instant. It is an aura. It has Ward 3, and the text on the card says, when this leaves the arena, if you've pitched a blue card this turn, create a Spectral Shield. Now, there is a more aggressive version of this card, but I like the cheeky trick playstyle of Illusionist, so Waning Vengeance calls out a little bit more of, pitching the blue card on your opponent's turn, playing this out, getting the Ward 3 and the Spectral Shield, and then you have 2 floating to, presumably play another instant aura. some effect, and then hopefully then you're transcending, and then maybe getting some other pop-off effects. But I don't know. Tricks on your opponent's turn is definitely, I think, the fun part of Illusionist, more so than just being Oonga Boonga numbers, because many other classes do that better.
Yeah, and I think I like purely from a not gameplay standpoint, I really like that LSS is continuing the trend of like making their cards like scary in terms of like so we had dragons, right? That were giant dragons that like, are they real or not? I don't know. And then angels can be like, pretty scary too if you're like they're killing you.
I was gonna say,
like a
if you're a
giant
heathen.
wolf ghost thing. It's like just gonna kill you. You're like, is it real or not? No, it's a ghost spectral wolf or whatever. But no, I think this card's really good, and I think being a 1-for-3 on the red, and having the if you've pitched a blue, you get another spectral shield token. Or I'm sorry, if you've pitched a blue this turn, if when this leaves the arena, then you also get a spectral shield token. I think that's pretty good. I think it's got a little bit of an insurance policy there. You have to pitch blue, which is kind of weird in terms of like it does like I don't know. So like you said, you can block with it. Like you can block with it if you pitch a blue, and you still get the spectral shield token. So
yeah, there are definitely other 2-cost auras as well that you could play out. But the cool part is, you don't necessarily have to do this in the damage step. Like you can wait till your opponent's basically done with their turn and throw it out there and say, okay, now here's my weapon as well. Depending on the scenario. I mean, that's what Illusionist is all about, just kind of reading the room.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This is going to be a strong, like, I don't see a single Enigma build unless you're going like full, what's it called, full Phantasm build or something, that doesn't play this card in their build, at least in red.
Yeah, no, it just feels like the like every deck has like that common or rare that they just play like 9 of, or maybe even 6 of, something like that. And this just feels like that, like kind of glue in the deck that just like it's there, it does what it needs to do, it's very strong on its own. And
yeah. And I mean, LSS almost gave us the hint when with the Enigma Blitz decks. This is the full art card that's included with it.
Nice.
Those are typically good.
Also,
Thunk,
the art's good.
Wage agility.
Art's amazing. All right. So, who's next? I don't remember who's next.
It's your turn, AJ.
It's my turn.
You.
All right.
Yes.
Your
We're
turn.
gonna go to the first. So this card was actually spoiled quite a while ago, but I think it's actually the best of them outside of the Sacred Arts, and that's actually Stir the Pot. No, I'm just kidding. It's Path Well Traveled. Path Well Traveled is a one of the Transcendent cards, or Transcend cards. So Path Well Traveled is a Mystic instant. It's a blue 0, just like all the other ones. It's legendary, so you only have 1 in your constructed deck. And then it says, pretty simple, target attack gets go again. If you pitch another blue card if you played another blue card this turn, you get to transcend, which, as we know, means you flip it, get chi on the other side, and then you actually bounce the resources back to your hand. And now they're chi. Reason I like this card is giving any attack go again. Out of the 8 chi cards, or 8 transcend cards, I think this is just like the most universally powerful. In certain situations, there are other ones that are probably more powerful, like a drop in the ocean stopping a Bolton turn is probably worth more on average if it stops a whole turn. But overall, I think a Path Well Traveled is just very, very good, and very, very universal. Like you can use it in almost any deck. I don't know if you'll use it as much in like Zen. I'll probably play it just because I want the chi, but he has so much go again, it doesn't really matter. But giving something like a Command and Conquer go again out of nowhere, or giving something that like if your opponent thinks that the turn is over and then you're like go again and then chi and then do other things, I think this card is just is like the best out of the 8. You're muted, Ryan.
Or the headset battery died.
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, there we go.
Now I hear you.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to fix that part later. But no, I was gonna say, yeah, from a what every deck at some point or another kind of wants to do for like the most value out of these, transcend cards. This is definitely the like top pick of like every deck, every Mystic deck is gonna be playing this one.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's got one of the nicer like they all have amazing artwork, but this one in particular, I do like the the matching, like how this one is pretty easy to see how the name of the card and the artwork kind of match together.
I'm a big fan of the one that basically just cantrips. It just says draw a card.
Rising Sun,
card on the
Setting
bottom.
Moon. Yeah, Rising Sun,
I think
Setting
that card's
Moon.
great. I mean, Sink Below is played over Fate Foreseen for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think Rising Sun, Setting Moon, I guess, especially in, that would be like on my like honorable mentions. I do think that card is actually very good, especially in a deck that cares so much about pitch color, whether or not you pitched or played certain colors. I think that card is very good, and it also helps you find cards because again, this set, all three heroes care about very specific cards, them being chi and stuff like that. I think this helps you get there faster. So, no, I definitely agree with that. I just think Path Well Traveled can be more generically applied and like feel like very good. And it
Yeah.
just says any attack too, so it can be like a weapon attack, like Enigma's auras that don't have go again. Like if they don't have the like a +1 counter on them, then you can still give it go again, kind of like a attack reaction, right? So just something to think
Yeah,
about.
not to spoil what we'll get into for later, I'm sure, but 10,000 Year Reunion, go again?
Ooh. Oh my god.
Yeah, that card is pretty insane with its ward value.
All right. Who's next?
Me, and I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about that card since that was on my list. It also kind of went with the last card I talked about. So, in talking about Restless Coalescence, 10,000 Year Reunion was a card I had in mind that goes well with it. The card says you may remove 3 +1 counters from among auras you control rather than pay this card's resource cost. And it's an illusionist aura that has ward 10. And costs 8 normally to play out. So you can kind of see where I was going with Coalescence Mirage, saving all those +1 counters in one spot to be able to play a card like this later on without having to pay its immense resource cost. So essentially you can remove 3 +1 counters from Coalescence or Restless Coalescence and just pop down this ward 10 right on the field. And if it stays up for a turn, or if you have a way to put it down at like instant speed, or even during your opponent's turn or something, yeah, you just pay 1 to swing for 10, which is kind of wild. I don't know if you guys agree. That's kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
Spending 1 for max velocity is pretty good.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
will say this. Even if you don't pay the alternate cost, it was very nice of LSS to make it 8 instead of 9, because at 8 you can pitch 3 blues and still swing with it. So, and you're gonna have a lot of blues in this deck. So there's still a chance that like a 4 card 10 isn't so good. But depending on what hero you're playing against, it's kind of a 4 card 20. It just depends, right? If you're playing against Zen, you'll probably never get the ward 10 out of it if you're hitting through. But if you're playing against like
unfortunately.
Guardian, sorry, Jamie.
It is what it is.
You're playing against Guardian. Ward 10 is very good because you'll probably eat most of it with like 1 attack, right? So it does kind of fulfill
Absolutely.
that 20 value turn. So it's interesting for sure. I'll say this: Vincent is looking better and better every time I look at these cards.
Hopefully you'd have a sideboard plan appropriate for your matchup. That probably wouldn't include this one in that matchup, but no, if like I just, well, first, putting all aside like the actual card play, I do love the artwork too, like all the shadows of like ancestors in the mountain or in the clouds behind the monastery. It's all very atmospheric, very appropriate for the card's name, and kind of like you could even feel like what it does. Like ward 10, like look at all these big powerful spirits we have here that kind of represent the card in its ward/damage value.
I do
It's very
really
nice.
wonder how easy/difficult the alternate cost for this card is going to be.
You could say that with Enigma, if you are playing the Restless Coalescence, or even just with her ability, like every time you activate her ability for Chi, there's you create a Spectral Shield with a +1 counter on it, and then there's also cards like Astral Etchings where it says put 3 +1 counters on an aura with ward you control. So it's just like, bam.
They're also hitting you though. Like I don't know, they're not like trying to let you keep the ward up, right? I don't know.
Oh,
I do wonder. Like I think.
oh, of course. But for an example like Astral
Oh,
Etchings, you can
also this
play this
card doesn't
in.
have go again. I just
Oh,
realized that.
none of the regular or illusionist auras do, and
Yeah,
since
it's an
most of
action.
them aren't instant speed, then yeah, unfortunately you'd have to find another way to give it go again, like with the new boots that
The boots.
Mystic Illusionist got. But you can play a card like Astral.
Go Mage Master. There's that extra
No.
one.
Yeah, I think
True,
if you're
true.
playing the new boots that I think are on my list, if you're playing the new boots though, you better pay the alternate cost because otherwise that is very expensive. That's in your
It
arsenal with four
almost
blues.
I was gonna say almost impossible to pay, but I will say there's cards like Astral Etchings, which just says put 3+1 counters on target aura with ward you control, and you can play that at instant speed if you have a Spectral Shield. So like right there, you pay for the Astral Etchings, and then you can immediately pay for the 10,000 year reunion. Again, yes, you won't have go again on it without something else on the field to give it go again or some other effect. But I mean, hey, against the matchups where you want it, you got Ward 10 protecting you until next turn at least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's possibly a sideboard card just because you're going to need to play it in matchups where they're not pressuring all of your ward, but you already might be so favored into those matchups anyway that you don't even need it.
I was gonna say I'm definitely not playing this against Assassin or Ninja, for example, because their daggers pressure or dagger pressure each turn would be enough to just like
What do you mean?
make this a non-starter.
Nah,
Listen, I'm just trying to put the psyop out there. Leave my golden sun alone.
Nah, play it, Ryan. You should play it against Ninja all the time, please. Please spend a whole turn putting this on the field.
And that's why the Guardian auras don't see play.
Yeah, it's a full circle. Who's next? Jamie?
Yes. So from here on out, I'm pretty much going to be talking about assassin cards. I didn't realize that these were all the cards that I enjoyed the most, but here we are. Exactly. So the first card that I want to talk about is, to your point, what I think is going to be close to the rainbow of new, if not the six of. It's going to be the Art of Desire line. They're called body, soul, and mind, depending on the color. Red is body, yellow is soul, blue is mind.
Okay.
Now, what the card is, it's an attack action. Yeah. Cost 0. Red is 3, 2 is yellow, blue is 1. They all block 3, and they have stealth. They say when this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. The second line, whenever this banishes a insert color card, depending on which version you played, draw a card and gain 1 life. Now, at first glance, that doesn't seem like it's all that impressive until you reread new. God, that's a tongue twister.
Reread new.
Yeah. You read the text ability on new. She gives the stealth cards themselves the banish effect from the combat chain. So if they're blocking with red cards and you're playing the red one, it's still going to banish when the combat chain closes, and then you're going to draw a card and gain a life.
That's insane. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, it is. I do like how they called the yellow one soul, just to make sure we keep remembering that yellow is the color of soul.
Those light heroes.
I like how I went to Prism. Like Bolton doesn't exist. It's for Prism.
Poor Bolton.
So just having this card being able to, put your opponent in a situation where they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. They block, you banish, you're going to draw a card and gain a life. They don't block, you banish the top card of the deck. You're probably going to draw a card and gain a life.
I will say, if they persuasive prognosis you, no, the other card we're going to talk about. Yeah, the other card we're going to talk about. Another card on your list, Bonds of Agony you, which we'll get to. These technically do have 3 different names, so they can only get one of the colors if it's in your hand. It's like the Fletcha blank tail.
The Fletcha tail, yeah.
Like Fletcha red tail, Fletcha yellow
Technically
tail.
different names.
They're all different names, so you don't even get them all. You just get the one color. Good job, you did it. I don't know. I think that's funny. I don't know. It's really
it is funny.
So I don't know. I just feel like this is going to be kind of the bread and butter of what she's looking to do. I mean, of course, you have the ones that say banish attack action, banish non-attack, but I think this is kind of more universal into every matchup.
Absolutely. No, I think this is a really good pick, really solid pick, and I really do like this card. I think the art's kind of cool. She's like,
I think the art's great, and the way they have it change color tone, also based on the pitch color, is really nice. I'm just not looking forward to playing against Assassin in the near future between new and all the stuff Azuri is going to be able to do with some of these cards. It's scary, especially when you have people like Tom Battaglia in our area who just is a master at Assassin.
I wonder if he's picking up new. Is that it? He like new? Is he on it? Is he on board?
I would be very surprised if he's not at least looking at it.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's definitely looking at it at the very least. Yeah, I know he's been well practiced on Azuri for a long time, and it's definitely one of his favorite characters to play now. But there's no way he doesn't give it a try at least to see what he can do with the new hero.
The cool part too is Azuri can also play this, so yeah.
There's a lot more of the non-mystic versions for each class of new cards than there is for mystic versions, which I think is kind of nice for the long term, like giving a little buff to other characters as well. But just gets kind of funny, or kind of the opposite from what we've seen from previous sets with talents, where the talented versions of the classes gets a lot more attention than the regular version. So I thought that was interesting.
I think they're learning from past mistakes. I think in some of the previous sets that were talent focused, it definitely was talent heavy, and now that some of those heroes have rotated, looking at U-Tails, what's left? Creepers? I got a new horizon.
No.
We need those heroes to come back, but that's a whole another topic.
Yeah, we need them to come back, but not in the way that they were here. But anyway. My turn, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we get to talk about equipment. This is my favorite cards in the game. I love all equipment. Legendaries are like the reason I got into Flesh and Blood, and the first one we're going to talk about is the Ninja one, because I think it's really good. So this is 12 Petal Kessa. I think that's actually how you pronounce it. I saw that online somewhere. So yeah, 12 Petal.
Kessaya?
No.
I'm too Caucasian to try this. I'm not trying to get canceled today.
Yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, it's a Mystic Ninja equipment chest. Blocks for 2, has Blade Break. So just remember that if you're going to block with it, you're going to lose it. Then its effect is whenever you transcend, you may gain a resource. And then instant, pay 3 chi, destroy this, create a Zen state token. So on first glance, I thought this thing was horrible. I'll be honest, I thought this thing was unplayable.
I remember reading that message. I remember reading underwhelmed.
I was very surprised.
I think my first message underneath it was WTF. Like, I think like literally like, because we had just gone through the assassin spoilers and then like the helmet from the assassin spoilers, and then looking at this I was like, what? I was like, I have to jump through a hoop for a resource. But in testing, in the one game, and in watching other people play that I've seen, that resource comes up quite a lot, and is actually really good. And in a pinch, you can block with this card, and if you have a chi, before the chain closes, you can activate its effect, so you still get the block value, and you can create a Zen State token, which lasts for 2 turns. And if you don't remember what a Zen State token does, it comes in with a counter on it, and at the beginning of your turn, you remove a counter, and if you can't remove a counter, you destroy it. So you get it for 2 turns, basically, of your opponent's turns, and it just says all damage you receive from each source is -1. Basically, it prevents 1 damage from each time you would take damage that turn from anything. It's nuts. And it can buy you a turn.
It's a very powerful token, yeah.
Yeah, and it can buy you a turn. And I think this card is really good. It's very understated in its effects. Like, it's not as flashy as the other 2 legendaries that we've seen, but it is definitely very powerful and very consistent that I've seen. And if you're doing chi things already, which you're going to be trying to do, you'll be able to, like I said, activate Zen, go fetch, chase the tail, and have fun because you get a crouching tiger, chase the tail, and all the other cards in your hand. So I think this card's really good. I think it plays really well into Zen's the way he wants to play with crouching tigers, and I think this card is just nuts, and the art's pretty cool. I like the color.
Now,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I read a rules interaction where it said that if you have both chi resources floating and regular resources floating, you have to consume the chi resources first.
I did see that. Yes.
So something to keep in mind, while you are making all these extra resources, if you ever pitch a chi to not use the full cost of the chi, you're going to have to use those first and foremost.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I mean, I don't know when that really. I was trying to think of like when that really ever comes up, and I can't.
I was
think
going to say
of
everything
anything.
that uses
It's really-
chi everything that uses chi uses 3 chi exactly. So
Yeah, it's just when you're using it more as a blue than a chi itself.
yeah.
Let's say you
But
have to
it's-
pitch it as your blue in an earlier
Yeah.
section of the turn, and then you transcend again somehow. And I'm not a ninja player, but
Yeah,
point out the
because
rules.
once you activate Zen, you're using the 3 chi anyway in his ability, so you still have the 1 resource floating, and that's what you use to play Chase the Tail or whatever. So
Yeah, it's really good. From the game that I played against AJ, it definitely came up.
there were turns that were
very
just so
often.
stupidly wide that were unlocked by this chess piece that were like, this is dumb. Like I literally was like saying that like as I'm like, hey Ryan, this turn was for like 27 damage. Like, yeah, this is dumb.
Yeah, I was there. I know. But I do like the inclusion of the Zen State token. It's an insanely powerful token, and we've only ever seen it. Correct me if I'm wrong. The only other place it exists is in the Find Center combo card.
Yes.
So-
Before this line, yeah. Pretty
yes.
sure.
And then we also have the I forget the name of it, the mech item that blocks one damage. It's basically a Zen State token, but it's an item.
That's
forgot
only
what it's
that's only if the remaining damage being done is 1, though, not reducing everything by 1. You're talking about Dissolution Sphere.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So that
oh
only-
yeah, it
that
blocks
only
like
prevents
the
it-
ones. It keeps you from getting
Yeah.
Kodachi locked.
Yes, so it stops any damage that's 1 or less. 1. But if it hits for 2 or more, then it doesn't prevent any of it. So definitely not as powerful as Zen State. And that's why I'm glad that they at least have something that brings it back. And it's one-time use, but creating a Zen State at the right time after you've blocked with it first against go-wide decks with this chess piece, you can reduce up to 10 damage over 2 turns with it alone. And that's an insane amount of health gain.
I think in the late game, it also just gives you like a chance to come back if you're like against another aggressive hero. It just gives you like maybe you get to keep an extra card or 2, and that's enough to swing the momentum back in your favor when when you're clawing around at like 2-to-1 life or something
Yeah,
like that.
clawing.
So that was
Yeah, and especially and especially this chess piece otherwise only gets its use until all of your cards have transcended in your deck. So once you're done transcending, you can choose. You can even just choose at the end of your turn, if you have the extra chi card, to be like, okay, during my opponent's 2 next turns, I'm gonna make it so that I have the easier tempo swing with this card alone. Now that I can't get the other use out of this chess piece, and that's
Absolutely.
insane. Like I said, you can block up to like 10 damage over 2 turns with it.
All right. Ryan, what's your next card, dude?
My next card is an interesting one that got revealed today, and it's interesting for a couple reasons. It's the Manifestation of Miragai. So a cool kind of like throwback to one of the dragons that Dromai makes that is seeing some mystic reference. I think that's kind of cool lore-wise, because I thought all the dragons were just, or at least all the dragons that Dromai made were all draconic, but I mean,
Each dragon represented a different area of Wraith.
Yeah, and that's why it was cool, because I was like, oh yeah, Miragai is definitely like the mystic dragon out of all of them. It's really cool. The artwork is sick. But the card itself says this enters the arena with 2+1 counters. If a cheat was pitched, this instead enters with 4+1 counters. Ward X, where X is the number of +1 counters on this. So this card is kind of insane. It's an instant as well, so you can put it down and then still have your action point to attack with it, with like a tunic counter or something.
Mhm.
But this one's insane, especially if you do pitch with the chi, because because it's essentially going to attack, so it's always going to have ward X equal to the amount of +1 counters. But that means when you attack, you're essentially attacking for double the damage of your +1 counters. So if you have the 4+1 counters, you're swinging with ward 4 +4 counters. So you're swinging for 8, which is kind of insane. And you also have the ability to modify that with a more +1 counter, which increases the ward by that amount as well. So it's like it's just kind of like like a multiplicative, like defensive and offensive value. So I think it's a crazy card, and I love the potential to do, I guess you could say, silly things with it, or kind of like different plays with it. Like I said, with some of those +1 counter cards that you could play instant speed, and just make it like this insane bastion of offense and defense at the same time.
This is definitely one of those like when this hits the field, you need to pressure them as quickly as possible. You have to get this off the field as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah, and even then, if you're like one of the like a guardian deck that doesn't have their go agains at that turn, like taking a turn to hopefully kill this thing, like I said, it has ward X where X is equal to the +1s. If you let them put enough +1 counters on it, it's like it can fully block if it needs to all the damage from just one attack on its own, and then let any of your other ward items or ward auras stay up for a turn, making it so you still have a retaliation afterwards. So it's like I said, it's just kind of crazy the potential this thing has on both the defensive and offensive front, and I I I just want to see all the potential, or I want to see all the silly things you could do with it. In regards to, actually, one question I have about this, AJ, you might know. So when it says ward X with the +1 counters, when it comes to it being destroyed, do you determine the ward value and then trigger the destruction as like separate events?
I thought the card was continuously checking.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean exactly. Like
The reason why can once the ward, no, because ward is a replacement effect, right?
Yeah, once this happens in damage calc, you can't really do anything.
Okay, I was thinking about the Restless Coalescence again and saving the +1 counters while it still does its block
you would
thing.
do that in like reaction step, right? If
Yeah, you have to do it before damage.
But like then you would lose all the ward on it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that you would definitely it wouldn't work out the way I was
the
hoping
card is
it
too
would,
good
so
to be
don't worry
saved like
about
that, Ryan. Get out of here.
Balance!
The card is too good.
I had my hopes up moderately. I was expecting it to not do what I was hoping it would do. Okay, but yeah, overall, sick card.
No, definitely a hardcore 3 of, and like every freaking, even at like without chi, this is still like a 4 damage attack, like 4 damage, like ward 2, or yeah, 4 damage attack because it'll have ward 2, and so 2+1 counters. So yeah, that's not bad, and it's an instant, right? So unlike the other one, like you don't have to give it go again to play it.
All you need is a tunic counter, and you're good to go.
And it'll come in with go again on the attack, right? Because it has the +1 counter. So no, super strong. Good pick. And it's blue, which is interesting because the other Majestic is red.
Yeah, but that one has its own silly potential for it to not have fluctuating ward, but like a one-time like big chunk ward. The 3 visits, I assume you're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting though because like that card is like constantly checking.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, like
that's why I'm saying
when
you put something. Yeah, that's why I'm saying when you put the what was that card again? The ancestral etchings or astral etchings. You can put 3 more +1 counters on it with that card alone, and then suddenly it's a ward 7 attack for 14, basically. That's pretty insane. So yeah, definitely a card I'm excited to play around with and see if I can do anything kind of crazy with down the line.
I like how it seems like LSS has given a lot of thought to the end game with these blue decks. At least for the spoilers that we've gotten just the past 2 days, definitely has given them a lot of end game potential when they're stuck with a bunch of chi in their deck that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that'll come into or definitely come into the conversation when we talk about the last card I have on my list for today.
Yeah, and I mean, even think about it with the mirror guy, because that in the late game is going to be very good when you're constantly drawing into chi.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah,
Jamie.
especially because you probably pitch this card too in the early game to pay for other things.
It's a blue. Why wouldn't you pitch it?
What's next, Jamie?
So for me, I'm talking about the last non-equipment card on my list. This is, once again, Assassin. We're going to be talking about Bonds of Agony.
Oof.
I was immediately going to be drawn to it because of the word agony in it.
Yeah, of course.
Big Chain fan. I got a Soul Shackle right up here. Seeds of Agony. Just love the art, the theme of it. So I was like, ooh, Bonds. Caught my attention. Demon Girl, even more attention. And then the effect made me kind of lose my mind a little bit. So Bonds of Agony is a blue assassin action attack with 1 damage and 3 block, cost 0. It's a stealth card. It has a novel of text on it.
It does.
It says, if you've played or activated 3 or more attack actions this chain link, this gets +3 power, and when this hits a hero, look at their hand and choose a card. Search their hand, deck, and graveyard and banish up to 3 cards with the same name as the chosen card. They shuffle.
So before you get into it, can I just say this is another card that when it got spoiled, I just put WTF under it.
Yeah.
Mine was WTF for the other reason of like,
Yeah.
instead of underwhelmed.
Yeah, it's like the other side. It's like, wait, what the fuck?
Like, wait, did I read that right? You look at everything.
Well, when it said like, I was like, oh, hand and deck or hand and graveyard. Okay, I was like, their deck. There, you get to just pick up their deck and be like, yeah, fuck this card, fuck this card.
Oh, nice Eye of Ophidia.
Yeah, that part's kind of crazy considering there's like no other card that has that kind of like precedence in the game right now.
And
like
you get to like at minimum, let's say it's even the last card of that card. Like so, you pull a card, it's like the last Command and Conquer. Who cares? And then like you just get like perfect knowledge of your opponent's deck. Like at that point.
I gotta say.
The main thing I see about no, you go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, I just wanted to say in regards to that, I feel like this is going to be a judge nightmare when it comes to how long people take to read another person's deck. That's going to be interesting going forward.
I think there's going to be some growing pains on that for sure. But I think in franchise players, once they pick up the deck of their opponent and start to dig through it, they're going to figure out what's going on quite quickly. They're just going to be looking for things that stand out, things that are out of the norm. Like, oh, this Guardian's running a yellow pummel.
Yeah,
How
like
many
gotcha
yellow
cards.
pummels?
That's exactly what I was thinking too, like gotcha
Yeah.
cards, right?
You're right.
But this is also just a combo hoser. Nice Lumina Ascension. Let's just get rid of those. Blazing Aether. You know what? Let's just get rid of that. I don't want to see that again.
I also want to say the shuffle effect. This was brought up on a couple judge discords and confirmed. It's a separate sentence, so the shuffle effect is only contingent on hitting. So like even if they throw their hand at it and you aren't able to pull a card out of their hand, they still shuffle their deck.
I think that's funny.
And so this ruins pickpacking as long as it hits them.
And a lot of times Assassin has 2, if not 3 of these attack reactions just on board with their equipment.
I mean,
between Flick Knives, the boots,
her
if they're running
helmet
Mask of
now?
Perdition, yeah. They play Shred or Slither, Hiss, anything really. It's pretty easy for them to get to 3.
it's really
Plus
easy to
all
get to
the-
3.
Plus all the equipment too. Every equipment they have has a reaction on it. Well, they can play a reaction on every equipment anyway. Flick Knives, the Black Tech Whisperers, the new Mystic Assassin headpiece. There's a lot of reactions you can play pretty easily on that.
And once again, this isn't just locked into new. This is also an Azuri card.
Yeah,
So
and Azuri can switch into it, which counts as one. Like,
yep.
and then, Flick Knives, and then just any reaction card will do it. We'll make it live.
Azuri Boots Shred. There we go.
Yeah.
It's hitting. I got all 3 modes. We got go again.
And you shuffle your deck, idiot.
Yeah. Idiot.
Idiot.
And that's when you get in with your desire of different names.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly.
You only get one color.
You only get one color.
Not like they're not going to take your bonds in response.
Yeah,
Right.
the card's pretty wonky. I'm looking forward to seeing what people do to get over an opponent's defense to get this to go off.
It's
And I feel
definitely
like typically cards like this target like attack action, non-attack action. This just says, give me a card. I'm taking it.
I think it's
Yep.
interesting. I will be like the one dissenter on this card. A little bit. I do think it's one of those effects that's like, holy crap, that's so insane. But it comes in for 1. I guess it comes in for 4 if you activate its effect, right? But like, I don't know. A lot of times, like, even if they keep 2 cards in their hand but they're 2 cards that they don't mind losing the copies of. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, you gave up your hand to hit for 4 and maybe get cards that don't matter as much. I think my point is, especially in new, more so, you can play around it a lot easier. Like, you can definitely, like, give them the card you don't care about as much or things like that, right? I think,
Oh yeah, and you very obviously can just throw your entire hand down on this and say, well, now I don't have a hand for you to search.
Yeah, and Azuri, I think Azuri though is the one that this is a little scarier in, because you may have, they throw the isolate, you give them a 3 block, then they Azuri into this, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Azuri is the definitely scarier one to use this out of nowhere.
Yeah, the card in isolation is, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's powerful, but I think it's in combination with all the other threats that come in Assassin. Your Leave No Witnesses, your, like you said, your isolates are powerful enough. A lot of times, I think just Death Touch. There's enough on hits and things you have to respect in Assassin that this is just adding to the pile of like, oh god, I don't want to block, but I have to.
Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna go to mine, which is another piece of equipment. So Meridian Pathway. So this is a new, even though it's not new, but it's a new Mystic Illusionist equipment legs. So Phantasmal Footsteps, get out of here. You've been relevant long enough. Art's insane, and it says instant, pay 3 chi. You may play auras this turn as though they were instants. And then it also says whenever you pitch a chi, triggered effect, you may have this get ward 3. And notice it's a may, so it's okay. Don't worry. We don't have to deal with, stupid, I can't even think of them, like the kimono effect where you're just like, I don't want this to have ward right now.
Too bad.
So the reason I picked this card, one, the art's insane. I really do like it, even though, haha, meme feet. I don't care. I think the colors on it are really cool.
No, yeah, it's definitely nice.
But even more so, I think one of Illusionist's biggest problems for playing the old, and even some of the new ones, the ones that don't have Go Again, I'm thinking your Passing Mirages, your Shimmers of Silver, which is nuts. None of those have Go Again. But if you pay 3 as an instant, you can play those auras as if they were instants, and now suddenly you can vomit Spectra auras onto the board, which, again, sorry, Jamie, that's probably some PTSD-inducing words I just used there. But you can do that. You can go like Shimmers, Haze Bending, and that feels insane. So
That's
all
the
is
dream.
instants. And before, the only way to really do this effectively was to have Mage Master boots, which was a one-time effect. I think you had to pay 1 for Mage Master boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and so, this, you pitch your Chi card, you got your blue auras, and even some of your new auras that don't have or aren't instants, they're just actions without go again. I think these boots are actually like kind of pushed and insane.
Yeah, and you know what I like about them is that they can act as a complement, or this is the way I've been thinking about them, is that they act as a complement or kind of like a sideboard option with the Phantasmals, because there's going to be game plans there that you're not going the aura build on. Like I said, the fast go again wide attackers like Katsu and everything, like you're probably not going to be playing the aura game plan on them. You'd switch to Phantasms, so you'd need Phantasmal Footsteps against them. And then when you're going up against like things that require auras, then you have these as your option finally, instead of just being stuck with the Phantasmals.
I don't know if you do that. I don't know if you do switch it up. I'm thinking like if you play like you pitch a Chi and you play like I don't know, a lot of like I don't know, you can still like just do other things that like are really good, and you can play like your I don't know. I don't know because what you're describing is like you don't need Phantasmal Footsteps into those matchups typically already. Like they're kind of a dead card. The only reason you play them is for the one block. I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say the only Phantasm attack that, I mean, by default, I think Enigmas will at least consider is Miraging Metamorph.
Well, that's actually what I was going with, is that blocking with the 1 on the Phantasmals over the course of those games are pretty strong too. So
it could be. But if you're racing them the way, like usually when you're going the Phantasm build, you're like, your attacks are overstated, right? So you're kind of racing them. The only thing you really use the boots for is like stopping Kodachi swings, which it doesn't always feel good. And the reason
it gives you a way to pitch a blue on your opponent's turn outside of just the auras, so
That's
maybe,
fair, yeah.
but
I will say it's more of just I obviously haven't had a chance to test all these yet. Most of these we just got today.
No, you need to have all the answers, Ryan. You need to have all the answers right now.
I would defer to your knowledge on Illusionist gameplay, since you've played both the previous ones far more extensively than I have. But I just thought it was kind of like a cool, depending on what game plan you choose, you could switch between them. Because I still think there's arguments for the Phantasmal Footsteps against certain matchups, obviously. But
the only
maybe I'm wrong. This alone would be enough to even help against those other matchups.
The only reason I'm hesitant to go full like Phantasm as Enigma, even if you're like that's your plan to go against aggro, how are they getting go again? Like you're playing the aura that doesn't have go again.
Spears of Surreality, baby.
Yeah, like I guess.
Yeah,
so.
Spears of Surreality, the big cat one that gets go again if you have a Spectral Shield.
Was it like Spectral Prowler or something like that?
Yes,
Jesus,
Spectral Prowler.
Spectral Prowler. That might actually maybe, I don't know.
And then you just have like just big attacks like Phantasmaclasm. And you're just like, cool, die,
Phantasmaclasm, dude.
die.
We playing
yeah.
Frightmare
Also
up
triggered
here.
by Phantasmaclasm. All these illusion cards trigger me in some capacity.
Nah, we're playing Frightmare up in this. Got my one card, Rouse the Ancients. Just so you a Frightmare. Here you go.
There you go. Be fair. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Then they just know you have it, so they feel like they have to hold on to two pops in their hand. They're like, oh no, if I'm gonna pop one, I have to pop the other.
But that's the thing, you can only play the second one if you pop the first one.
I know. Anyway, so that's the boots. Ryan, what you got next?
All right, so the last card on my list is probably, this is the one that circles back to what we were talking about, having a game plan for blues in the end game, or giving value to them, because it's like, yeah, when you're playing the blue cards throughout the game, they're going to be your resources for all your attacks and other stuff during the game. So you're definitely going to see them more towards the end, or see them come up again towards the end. So one of my favorite cards that got spoiled today, probably I think it was our last spoiler for the day before it looked like some box breaks got leaked, is the Cosmic Awakening. Fantastic artwork. It definitely reminds me of like Sonata Galaxia from the last set. and it's a 9 cost mystic attack that says if 1 chi was pitched to play this, it gets base 10 power. If 2 chi, base 15, and if 3 or more, base 20. Now, I don't think I need to explain too much about why that's kooky, but to put it simply, normally, like when it comes to like the 9 attack rates, like on a Guardian card, it's like in red that's what, an 11 for a 9 attack, for a 9 cost attack. It's like 11 resource or 11 power or something. No, that's like 13 or 14. Yeah, 13.
I mean, if you're looking for the on rate cards, you're looking at like the choke slams for the 4/8s. Those
Yeah, but I'm saying the cost 9. The only high cost card like that is Pulverized for 14. So it's like 1 below is normally 13. So technically, if you're only pitching 1 chi out of that, you're a little below rate for everything you're throwing into it. But as soon as you go to 2 or 3 for the late game, like 20 damage on a single card, that's, I don't even care if it's good. I'm just gonna put 3 in my Enigma deck, and sometimes I'm just gonna get a late game win with this, not having to rely on my auras to do the final attack. You know what I mean?
I think 3 is way too many. I would definitely, there's some argument to play this in a couple decks at 1, maybe even all 3 of them. I will say, when this card was spoiled, I was like, there's no more Ryan card than this card.
I want to do big damage.
There is an
I wanna do big
argument that, like, if you
damage.
get to like the end game, especially as Enigma, I think of all the 3 who could play it would probably be her. That your end game is the weakest.
Especially
again,
if you don't get to set up a board,
because
which
Zen's,
is very hard against some classes.
well, I was gonna say Zen's end game is like turn 3 or 4, so like I don't think he's getting. You really don't want to get to the point where you have this much chi in your deck and that you're pitching to it, and that you're setting up a pitch
No.
stack and doing this or anything like that. Whereas Enigma could go long and just may not have found like the kill, right? And maybe you do pitch stack this and with 3 chi, and then you just come in for 20 literally and murder them, hopefully.
This definitely and even you could say the appearance of the card looks like an Enigma card more than the other 2 classes. You could say it looks like new because the headdress and the kind of like, I guess you could say the colors on the card, maybe. There's something about it that does kind of like remind me of new as well, but it's just like, I agree with you. It's definitely not a Zen card. No Zen is going to be like playing with this in the end game in mind, or as an end game in mind. So
Personally, I think if you're pitching 1 chi to play this card, it's terrible.
It's
yes,
awful.
It's a 4 card 10. I mean,
It's horrible.
most hands block base 12. So you definitely need at least the 2 chi to be above rate on it. And I think the 3 chi is kind of magical Christmas land in the end game, unless you like Arsenal this, because chi doesn't have block value. So unless you have an
That's a good
enormous
point.
board state or you have a giant health lead, you're not going to be able to just keep
Like hold
3
it. Yeah.
non-block cards and this.
I'm
a great
just saying
point.
I'm just gonna give it a try. I understand the arguments. I agree with them. I'm still gonna try it.
This
I don't
will
know. I definitely think the card is cool. I love the art. I love the flavor of it. I'm just trying to think of it more of from a competitive mindset.
Yeah, I love cards like this existing. I don't think this card sees really much constructed play. I feel like this could be one of those cards too, where both Jamie and I eat our words at some point, like, and maybe
really could
someone
go-
finds a way. But I
Yeah,
don't
a card
see it
this-
either competitively.
Yeah,
UPF
a card-
though.
Your PF,
Now we're talking.
let's go, baby.
Yeah.
You have to be like,
A
no,
card
don't
this-
kill me. Let me do the thing.
Come on, let me get my hand.
I promise it won't come after you.
A card this polarizing definitely has the potential to either see unexpected play or no play at all. So we'll have to see.
Definitely will have to see. At least it's blue and blocks for 3. So like, that's its floor, is that it's a titanium bauble. So like, I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where it comes out. If you play like all the transcend cards or chi cards in your deck. I mean, late game, technically, that's all that's going to be in your deck, plus whatever else you pitch. So,
So you got no other way to kill them except this.
exactly.
All right, Jamie, take us to your last card.
So my last card is going to be a piece of equipment. It is going to be the Mystic Assassin equipment for the set.
Oh, we brought it in. We brought it in.
Yeah.
We audibled.
The card is too gas to not bring up. It's called Mask of Recurring Nightmares. And boy, howdy, is this thing going to give me actual nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a headpiece that has blade break and blocks for 2, but the ability on it's pretty good. Once per turn attack action, it costs a chi, a full chi, the 3 resources. Target defending hero banishes a card from their hand.
That's it.
It's not Cornet Peak. It's not pay 1. It's get rid of it. It's gone.
It's gone. And you said action there, but what's important to note is that it's actually a reaction.
Yeah, sorry, attack reaction.
Yep, which triggers all the other things. Like there's a rare that's like, I want to say like Deadly Duo, but I don't think that's what it's called.
No.
Deadly Duo is a ninja card.
Something comes in 2 or something like that.
Yeah, that card is like very good.
Double Trouble.
Like, double trouble. It gives like +2 if you've played like 2 attack reactions. This is one of them. And then you could play like any other of her reactions that are very good. I think Mask of Recurring Nightmares, I will say it takes some getting there. But what it does more than anything, I think, is that so new against most decks will have a very good time banishing blues. But against some decks, she will almost never find a blue on top of the deck, right? So against like Prism and Bolton and like even like Azalea, right? Azalea plays like 3 blues. What this does is it gives you a reason to run your chi and still just banish cards from them. So I think that's very, very good.
Yeah, imagine if all of your Transcend cards also said banish a card from your opponent's hand.
As a reaction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to go back to our late game conversation of, this definitely gives you something to do with your chi with new in the late game. I mean, you very easily can just swing dagger, activate this. You're going to run your opponent out of cards pretty quickly if you're just doing the simple weapon trading end game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you're definitely trading high in that regard.
Yeah, I think this mask is just. This mask is just nuts.
What?
I think it's too good.
The mask is very good. Cold foil extended art. Sign me up.
Let's go.
Coronet Peak died and was reborn. The Phoenix in this.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other equipment is definitely strong, but like just ripping a card out of your opponent's hand, no way out of it is like insane to me.
Yeah, they don't get to say no. Like they just like it just happens.
And if it's a blue card, you might be playing that later.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to the final card tonight. So it feels kind of anticlimactic, but I'm gonna say 2 cards. I'm gonna cheat. I'm the host, so I'm gonna do it.
Oh, he holds a Shadowverse card. The Betrayal.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm kind of like, these cards are kind of fucked up because I keep like hand shuffling them without sleeves on, so maybe I'm betraying them. So 2 cards. One is my actual favorite card, but I realize to most people it's kind of anticlimactic. So it's as like the final card we're going to talk about. That's Tooth and Claw. I think this card is really good, but it's kind of very basic in its effect. It's basically it's a red 0 cost Mystic Ninja attack action, comes in for 4, blocks for 3, and says when this attacks you may reveal any number of Crouching Tigers from your hand. If you revealed 1 or more, it gets go again. 2 or more, this gets +1, and 3 or more, draw a card. Having 1 is almost a given at all times because there's just so many cards between the common cycle that makes 1 in your hand, Zen's ability makes 1 in your hand. It's just very easy to get that 1 in your hand. So a 0 for 4 that has go again that also blocks for 3 is pretty on. It's actually like pretty above rate because if we're looking at like Scar for Scar, things like that, it blocks for 3, and having the tiger again is almost like a formality. It doesn't matter. And then at 2 or more, it gets a 5 go again. At 3 or more, it replaces itself. So the 3 or more is a little more difficult to get to, but 2 more is not. So I think this card is very good. That said, I'm just gonna skip your guys talking about it because it's a very basic card. I'm gonna go to the other Ninja Majestic, Mystic Ninja Majestic, that is more fun to talk about. I think it's very good.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
I'm
about.
not as excited about it, but it does unlock a lot of the deck. So for whatever reason, I just love Tooth and Claw so much because it's so consistent. But the other card is Shifting Winds of the Mystic Beast. It's a blue 1 cost, which being blue is very relevant. And then it's a ninja attack or mystic ninja action. Not an attack, but it blocks for 3. It says whenever you play a Crouching Tiger this turn, name a card, it gets that name. If a Chi card was pitched to play this, create 2 Crouching Tigers in your hand, which goes back into Tooth and Claw being very good.
Oh yeah.
But this card is absolutely bonkers in a way. Like you can unlock so many weird things with this card that you can suddenly, like, there's combo line finishers that just become live with this card. So we were testing with a 1 of Fine Center, a 1 of like not spinning wheel
Dishonor.
kick. No, I was
And,
playing 2 Dishonor
roundhouse
because
kick.
it's blue, but the one that's the
Roundhouse
one that
kick.
spins the card off the table basically.
Yeah.
It's just because you can just go get it with Zen. It's so good. I think this card is insane.
Yeah, no, this card is the potential for this card to do like combo shenanigans that you're not typically, what's the word I'm looking for? Like typically gonna get as easily using the actual combo line. Like we said, Fine Center. It's just like only one of the tigers needs to be named Crane Dance with while it has Go Again, and then Fine Center also gets its full effect with how many tigers you probably have on that combat chain to make it harder to block. And then you've got a Zen State token. You can name 3 Crouching Tigers, the Dishonored combo line, and then end with Dishonored to try and remove their hero ability. And then there's also the what was the one, the Roundhouse one. They'll block the tigers, thinking there's nothing going on there, and you can even play this later if you wanted to. After they've already no, because that would close the combat chain.
No. But what
you
you
get what I'm
can
saying.
do is you can like start naming them. If you have enough tigers, only the last one has to be named it. So you can start with like dumb things like, I don't know, Bonds of Ancestry, which isn't dumb, but like then I don't know, something that's like
Surging Strike, Whelming Gust
Well, no, I
Wave,
was
and
thinking
then
like whelming would be good because it's something like less like the whole point is to bait out equipment blocks, right? And then
Yes.
you can like suddenly you play the next tiger and go spinning wheel kick or whatever it's called, and then into the cyclone roundhouse or whatever it is the one that spins
Yeah.
equipment off the table. And
no, that one is the funniest one. Yeah.
yeah, and you just bait them into like losing their equipment. Or you just go into the Fine Center line, you suddenly have a Zen State token out of nowhere, which is also, as we talked about, very good. So
I think the
Yeah.
Roundhouse is the funnier one, but yeah. But yeah, what do you think, Jamie?
Pouncing Lynx is a hell of a card.
Bouncing Lynx is a hell of a card. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Zen with a million tigers and a Pouncing Lynx is going to be some scary stuff.
Absolutely.
And then just being able to name something and possibly get your Dishonored line off without even having all the other pieces is pretty appealing, especially against certain matchups. Like surprise, Levia. Here's a Dishonor.
You're dead now.
I'm like, oh. Block? Attack reaction?
Oh my god, yeah, dude, it's so funny. Yeah, and
So,
I think this card does unlock a lot, and I do think Mask of Pouncing Lynx is probably the way we play Zen. I was playing Mask of Momentum, it felt very live, you know, it baits out blocks, but I think Mask of Pouncing Lynx can lead to some really silly attacks as well, so that is
Sometimes in
gonna-
a game, you only need that one activation for a crazy turn to completely just take the momentum for the whole game. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Stubby Hammerers got banned. Thanks,
Nah, dude, Stubby Hammer, oh, dude, oh, Give me back stubby hammers right now, dude. Crouching tigers with stubby hammers, dude. Oh, I lose my mind.
No, no,
All right.
get it out of here.
And
Disgusting.
with that, we're gonna go around the room. We're gonna get out of here. Say what's going on in your lives, where they can find you, anything you want to plug. I just want to say thank you to Jamie for joining us on this over an hour and a half podcast talking about our favorite cards from Part the Misveil, the new set coming up. And if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe if you listen this long. We appreciate you. And we'll start with Jamie. What's going on, dude? Where can we find you? When's the next event you're gonna play?
For me, that's going to be pre-release. Honestly, we're definitely going to do Armory this weekend, but pre-release is the next major event that I'm looking forward to. Bought my ticket today for the Haven, so hopefully I'll see you gentlemen there that Saturday. If not, I will be extremely disappointed and may dishonor your children.
Oh,
We'll see.
no.
But no.
Problem. Not a problem here.
You'll see me there. You'll definitely see me there and at Leighton for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can find me at the Jam Fam on Twitter. Have a lot of cringe takes, and then also go mute for a couple weeks at a time. You know, a great social media presence.
All right,
The
Ryan.
best kind.
Where
I
can
was
I
gonna
find
say,
you? What you
yeah.
got going on?
You can find me here same time next week.
Let's go.
But in all seriousness, I've been working on these lists for both Enigma and Max, trying to see what ways I can maximize my supercell use. Yeah, probably just regular Armory events for now. No major events coming up besides pre-release. So mostly sticking to the local level, but I hope once I get some testing in with the Max list to put out a video about that, because while I do like some other classes or characters like Riptide, I feel like I'm just in the Max zone, so I might as well go with the flow while I'm there.
Awesome. And that said, my name is AJ. You can find me on at HeyAJ19 on Twitter. Also, you can find me here at Venture Code Gaming. Like Ryan said, every week we put out another BattleWorn for you. We're going to have some more content coming up in the future too. I want to thank one more time Jamie for joining us on this journey through Part the Misveil. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.